Good afternoon, everybody. It was almost said good morning. Halsey Live. I am here. Halsey English. All my links are in the description. I am here with the one, the only EM Burlingame, and we are going to have some fun. We're going to be talking about all the shit that's going on in the world right now. And man, do I got some shit to talk about with you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Interesting day already, and it's just getting started.
Yeah, I think we might be disagreeing about something. Someone's been writing me all morning saying that you're kind of a piece of shit, and I was like, I haven't been paying enough attention today because I've had a big day. So, how do you feel about this whole Joe? What's his name? Joe Kent.
Kent.
So, I guess you're not happy about this.
No. It's not that I'm happy or not. I'm. That's not the right framing. Um, when a man of that caliber, proven caliber, a man of that proven integrity, believes that this is the move that he must make, we need to listen.
You think?
You can agree or disagree with the arguments he put forward in the document. People need to read the document way more carefully. You need to look at I don't mean you personally, Halsey, of course, right? But we need to look very specifically at the nature of the attacks that immediately came out against him and the very nature and wording of those attacks, right? The tone and tenor, specific words, there is far more going on in the world than people care, than people's emotional fucking attachments to things.
Right.
And we need to, when a man of that caliber, when was the last time we saw something like this happen?
When was the last time we saw something like this happen? It was a while ago.
I don't know. In my entire lifetime, I don't remember anybody. I think the last time we came even close to something like this was the Vietnam War. So, agree or not with his arguments for why in the in the letter he sent, the integrity of the man and what, think of all of the security clearances and the NDAs and everything else that man's operating under and how many things he can't say. And because he is a good, honorable man who doesn't do leaking and doesn't do any of that, won't say.
So, I from what I understand, he has been accused of leaking. Like,
of course he has. Of course he has. They've been going after Joe Kent since the very beginning. Why? Because he is a threat to the regime. He is a threat to the bad guys. He is loyal through and through to the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. way of life, and he was in the position of power where he could quite literally look at every bit of intelligence across everything domestic and foreign.
Right. But what I'm saying is what it seems that most people are saying is that he was leaking Tucker Carlson, that he leaked the what's it called? The meeting with Mark Levin. He leaked the whole when we're invading Venezuela, and I'm wondering with the timing of this if this has anything to do with the leak about him being tapped by the CIA. That's why I said we might disagree on this one.
Well, it's not an agreement or disagreement. It's do we think in the terrorism and counterterrorism fight, in the great game, that people are telling the truth when they're besmirching somebody?
No, of course.
Do you think, how is the intel operations, information warfare operation played?
Right. Okay.
How's it played? It's to destroy people's reputation.
Right.
Well, you only do that if somebody's a threat.
So
do you do it with the truth? Well, no, because if they're a solid person, they're not a threat because of the truth. They are a threat because of the truth. So what you have to take them down with is lies.
Okay, so let me just run a scenario by you, which I've found odd for a couple of days, and this is actually kind of the meat and potatoes of what I do want to talk to you. I don't personally care so much about this until it ties into what we're talking about. So Tucker comes on his stream the other day, and he says that he has information that he was tapped by the CIA, right, and that the CIA has referred the case to the Department of Justice because he was talking to the leaders of Iran. Now, number one, I find it odd that he said the CIA, because the CIA means they were listening to the Iranians, not him. Which
That's not
immediately,
necessarily true. The
sure
CIA
it is. The
operates in the
CIA
United
doesn't
States as
listen
well.
domestically to
Bullshit.
domestic.
Bull fucking shit.
I'm not saying
man.
they don't, but what I'm saying is if they do, they don't refer to the Department of Justice for charges. The FBI or the NSA would do that. And they would have a clear mandate to do it. That's my point. Is there's no reason, like, I understand covert ops, but there's no reason to be covert on this if they're tapping Tucker. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. I don't pay attention to any of this. It's all fucking theater. And it is a waste of our goddamn time to fucking chase down this bullshit. No, they're putting it out there for a reason. So that intelligent people that have an actual discerning mind are so busy chasing down bullshit that doesn't fucking matter. We're not paying attention to what's happening right in front of us in our own communities. Right now. The threat that is very present right now.
So let me just go into because I again, Tucker's not my point that I
don't even listen to him.
I don't either, to tell you the truth. I am blocked. I don't listen to his show. Every now and then I watch a clip when someone sends me, if it's something like very specific that they want me to see. But we were talking at the time of Charlie Kirk's murder, and we were talking about the way it went down. And I told you what you told me about that has been haunting me the last few weeks, because watching what's going on social media and the kind of psyop that we're facing, right? It doesn't feel scary. It doesn't feel angering. It feels familiar.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And why it feels
which could be scary.
Right. I agree. But what I'm saying is the overwhelming feeling is familiarity. And I feel like we did when we were told that men are really women and women are really men, and we should ignore biology, we should ignore, common sense, we should ignore genomics and just go with it, right?
Yes.
Because these people who are mentally ill, their feelings were more important than reality, right? I feel like social media is doing the same thing, and I feel like it's being done by the same people. They're empowering people to go after like kind of the not right in the head. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the people, like the people who are constantly blackpilling, the people who are constantly saying that Trump is a failure, the people who are constantly doing this, it just feels very familiar. They want you to ignore what you see. They want you to ignore what you know, to believe shit that's completely unrealistic and nonsense. And there's a good portion of people that are radicalizing around that. And I feel like it's very familiar. And I'm just curious if you've given this any thought.
It's what I work on every day, all day. Not intentionally. It's just with the way my mind processes information. Revolution is right here. It's already happening. Collapse happened sometime between 2001 2012. Collapse already happened. There is no going back, and we are, and you got Ray Dalio and other big people saying it, people with everything to lose. We are.
Well, he's been saying it since 2014, to be fair.
Yeah, we're on the cusp of a revolution. And what happens, right, if you have an effective leadership team that is effectively so far staunching off the worst of the old power structure, which has become the enemy's capacities, what do you have to do? You have to do everything you can to tear that team apart. Do you tell the truth? Do you not make things up? Do you not lie? Do you not fabricate? Do you not put great effort into lies and deception? What is war? War is deception. War isn't, we don't do, phalanxes and line, front lines of troops on troops anymore. We don't even do war of movement anymore.
Well, we don't even do war of battle anymore. It's from a distance,
It's correct. So war is deception. Period. Okay. If you have a capable leadership team succeeding in what they're doing, you have to do everything in your power to disrupt that team and break them apart. And to deceive members. And how do you do that? Well, you work to deceive members of that. You infiltrate yourself into different organizations and institutions. You send up false and fabricated or manipulated intelligence reports. You do all of these things, this vast array, and then you do this ludicrous amount, probably $5-10 billion a day of information warfare through social media, through clever AdWord buy. And people really need it. There's a great book people should read. It's an entertaining book because it's a great story, because it's true, called Chaos Monkeys. And it's about Twitter and Facebook's creation of their data brokerage systems. Well, people don't realize, but 99.9% of what you see is driven by data brokers.
Sure.
And how are those driven? Well, there's these exchanges where there's what's called real estate, which is, a social media ad placement space. And then there's, in dialogues, and that's all ranked in a certain way and has certain valuation. And then there's this need to place advertising, ads, and those are matched together. And that the data brokers, this is happening billions of times a second, where these are getting matched up. It's a lot like the stock markets. It's a pattern off the same thing. Well, that's easy to manipulate, as are the stock markets, by information and information flows, but more importantly, by people's clever strategic. It's almost here. Yeah. Give me one second. Terribly sorry, everybody.
Sure.
We got food that's almost here. They're right around the corner.
Okay, so
yeah. Okay, so point is that 99% of what we see is driven by very sophisticated AdWord and advertising purchasing in this data brokerage system. Okay. Sure. And that's what it's not so much Twitter's algorithms. It's not so much, that's why there's only so much Twitter can do to, they did a great job of getting rid of a lot of bots, but there's almost so much they can do about, misinformation, disinformation, et cetera, et cetera. Why? Because it's actually driven by advertising spending, and it's out of the control of Twitter and Facebook and everybody else. Okay. Right. So point being is this: the current administration and the power, the real power, the princely power behind them is actually successfully stopping and preventing World War III.
Agreed.
That's first and foremost. Now what they're doing is they're making a transition to, now that's not completely off the table. That's what's happening, in Iran, et cetera, right now. Not all of it, but that is a portion of it. Now what they're doing is they have to transition to shunting off civil wars. Sure. Because that's the inevitable next step that was coming. Okay, but they've been successful so far, ludicrously successful across unbelievable dimensions with the most intelligent, most capable enemy. And don't think for a second the Praetorians, these financialists because they recruit. This isn't the CIA. This is above the CIA. Agreed, works 100%. For them, right? They do hire the brightest, most intelligent people straight out of schools. They start looking at them and assessing them in middle school, right? Not in university, but all the way down in middle schools, private, Surlex private schools, et cetera, which I might or might not have attended in my life, right? Give me one second.
Sure.
So far, the things that were slated for 2024 on have been shunted off. And that's World War III. Okay. That's mostly off the table now. There's just one last little mess, and that's the nuclear materials that Iran had. Unfortunately, we'd sealed them in the ground, which was legit. And then some folks tried to dig them out so they can use that as a dirty bomb. I suspect some of it got out. Right. Okay. And in the hands of the wrong people.
Probably.
Right. Okay. The next thing that has to get shunted off is civil wars, and particularly civil war here in the United States. Okay. The same team that has been so unbelievably effective at restoring constitutionality in the United States through the courts and this unbelievable amount of fight that's happening in the court system, and the all of the attempts that have been to start World War III overseas. That same team is the one working on trying to prevent civil war here in the United States.
I'll agree with that too.
Okay. Who was the guy? So if they're going to start civil war here in the United States, they're not going to, they can't start it as, oh, it's the South and the North. You know, none of those clean lines are there anymore.
Right.
So how would they start it? Well, they've been telling us they were going to start it as terrorist attacks.
Okay.
Right? They've been telling us, you know, Iran's behind all of this, and ISIS and Al Qaeda, and there's all these, you know, so they were going to, you know, and Sarah Adams and these other CIA, straight up CIA people have been on, Sean Ryan and all these other things telling us. Well, there's one guy sitting at the head of the counterterrorism center.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to mount false flag terrorist attacks in the United States, you'd need to have that guy on your team to go along with the lie.
I would assume.
What if that guy wasn't willing to go along with the lie? Would you go all out to discredit him and try to get rid of him?
So my issue with what you're saying is that it doesn't make sense to me to form almost like a social media battle with him or a public relations battle with him. If what you're saying is right along the truth, right? It would seem that the best false flag of all would be to kill him. Like
no, that martyrs him. No, you need to discredit him so that he doesn't have.
You want to say they committed a
no,
terrorist attack.
No, you don't understand how this game's played, man. You don't
so
understand
that's
how
what I'm
this
saying.
game's.
So educate
Yeah.
me. I'm withholding a lot of what I actually think until I want to hear you out first. I don't want to.
You have to discredit unconventional and irregular warfare are fought very, very differently than people understand.
I agree with.
And 100%. You really got, and I don't mean you, Halsey. I mean this,
I know.
You know, euphemistically, but people really need to take a step back and really stop and think about and get their emotions out of things and really think about how is dirty war fought. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, we think like the, what was it? The, something of ungentlemanly conduct, the movie with Cavell and all that, right? I
know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, it's about the original OSS, SAS, etc. But you know, people think that they think about clandestine and covert warfare, and they think about assassinations and sabotage, etc. That's a fraction of what irregular and unconventional warfare is. Most of the war, 99% of it, literally, if not more, is shaping operations. Mm-hmm. Right? Haley! It's shaping operations, right?
Right.
Give me a second. Somebody's here.
No problem.
What is the shaping? It's setting the relationships and the informational space so that when you do some kind of act, it gets you the reaction, the result, the output that you need.
Sure.
Okay. So what is most of that? Most of that is deception. Mm-hmm. You don't want to kill Joe Kent. That makes him a martyr. And now you spin up all these assets to go after all of these people. You don't want that. You want to discredit him. You want him alive. You want him out there, but you want him, and you want anything to come out of his mouth to sound like he's in a defensive posture, and that he's a kook. You don't want to martyr him because now you get a bunch of guys like me are like, okay, now we're going to fucking do something. But not all of us believe the Iran fucking terrorist shit. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to get a bunch of former seasoned, experienced special operations guys and intel guys, and the overlap between the two. Because people really need to think about that, because we got guys who do both, right? And Joe Kent's one of them, or was. And now you get guys like us, and we're not going after Iranians or the cartels, or we're coming for fucking you, because we know the truth of it.
Okay.
So you don't want to kill the guy that gets, same thing. They don't. Once they failed before he got into office to kill Trump, now they don't want to kill him. Now they need to discredit him.
Sure.
Now, if it gets too bad, and correct. So this is how the game is at, this is how this, great game at its highest level, the high table, this is how the fight is fought. Mm-hmm. You don't kill the guy at the table, you discredit him.
Right.
Because if you kill him, you're going to get you. They don't care about the normal average person. They don't care about the people who have emotional reactions to things. Now they need them because that gives them cover and action and narrative crafting and etc. What they're worried about is a cold, precise, calculated guys that you move against him. We're coming for you, and we know exactly who you are.
Mm-hmm.
We're not deceived by the information operations that wants us to go look at here.
Okay.
So you don't kill the guy. You tie him up in a conflict. You tie him up in a fight. You get us all, get us all picking one side or another, or get us deconstructing some argument or another. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you are carrying out your operations as you want to, and or you're successful and you get the person replaced. Then you tie him up in all kinds of bullshit procedural stuff and actions and lies and innuendos and everything else. And we're so busy paying attention to that, we're not paying attention to the person you put into that position of authority and power, who's fully on board with going along with the false flag lies.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it any better.
No, I agree with you. I want to dive in for a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I agree with everything you say, but as I always, every time we talk, I always say, I think it's much more complicated than what you're saying. And when we're talking about asymmetrical warfare, right? We're talking about that usually it's not like regular warfare. You strike a building, the building falls, mission accomplished, right? There are lots and lots of avenues and tactics that are used, and it answers the question that you constantly ask. You go, well, why don't people do shit about this or that or this or that? Like, why aren't they throwing out all the Somalians with the fraud? Why aren't they putting Gavin Newsom in jail? Why did they do all the COVID shit? Why was it that we allowed the Summer of Love to happen with all the riots? And when you see that it's all connected, that it's all a concerted effort to demoralize and bankrupt the United States. Yeah. All of a sudden you can step back and look at it from a larger lens, and as long as you're not seeing zebras everywhere, you can see how everything connected will yield a result if it's disrupted. Right? Yeah. Like, that's the key to winning an asymmetrical war, is to disrupt the flow of the attack against you. Now, Trump, I don't know if he does it on purpose or if he's so not involved in the game from the beginning that he just doesn't notice it. It's one of the two, right? But at the same time, I think that Trump realized somehow, I don't know who was in his ear, maybe he just figured it out for himself. But I think he realized where the enemy lies. And the enemy lies in Brussels and in London and in Paris and all of that. In realizing that, he realized that a lot of the steps he's going to take are going to have to put the fight back on them, right? Yep. Because he's obviously not going to bomb London. He's obviously not going to occupy Brussels. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are things that probably wouldn't even accomplish anything, even if he did do it, right? Yep. So what does he do? He goes after Iran. He goes after Venezuela. He goes after Cuba. He goes after the places where normally they would just be a distraction, right? Yep. And I mean, there's a lot of like really more in-depth stuff too, but I'm not going to get into it now and bore everyone to tears. Yeah, I know you look at a lot of things from the military. I look at everything from almost an economic point of view, right? And what I see happening right now in the Middle East, what?
You do realize that I was an investment analyst, investment banking, private equity, venture capital, and all that before I went into special forces. So to make the statement that I think in terms of military versus you as finance is like totally misrepresenting me altogether.
Okay, well, that's not what I meant to do. What I meant to do was say that there's a primary way of looking at things, and I don't look at it from a military angle. That's why I wasn't trying to insult you. I was saying I got you. Yeah, okay. I got you. So I tend to only really look at the economic angle, because we've disagreed on the power of Russian weapons. We've disagreed on the power of Chinese weapons. Regardless of anything right now, Iran is taking a swift beating. And because of that, London is taking a pretty swift beating, if you ask me. But you might have
Are
a different
they?
opinion.
I mean, Iran's still getting oil out. So some military assets are getting blown up, some leadership's getting killed, but economically, to use your articulation, they're getting oil out.
Yeah, but I mean, Trump said that
And
from
we're
the beginning
allowing
he
them to
wasn't
get
going to
oil
stop.
out.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
said from the
So
beginning he
again,
wasn't
but
going to stop.
again, though, Halsey, what does that mean? Are they really taking a beating? No. Their leadership, which is involved in a whole lot of shit on behalf of the city of London, etc., is taking a beating. But their economic capabilities are not taken a beating. We're not destroying their refineries. We're not removing their ability to move oil. We're not harming the peoples of Iran's economic capacities. Now, there's a short issue right now because we're taking out some leadership, because leadership, for whatever reason, decided that, it thought that it thought it could continue on the path that it was continuing on.
Sure.
But economically, Iran's not taking a beating at all. Nothing worse, nothing on the scale of decades of sanctions. Right? So all war is financial.
Right.
All war is economic.
Sure.
The physical kinetic stuff is a tiny infinitesimal fraction of actual war. All war is really economics, and really, unfortunately, since the 1600s, it's financial. It's about cash flows, right? It's about assets, liabilities, collateral, et cetera, et cetera. When you use your military, your physical kinetic capabilities and related intelligence, it's just to try and enforce some contracts, economic, financial contracts. That's really what it's about. Okay, so give me a second.
Or taking over others' contracts, such as
taking over, or their collateral, or creating a force majeure so that force majeure clause gets kicked in. And which isn't amazing that a act of God is humans going to war with one another. I'm not sure how God was involved in all that, but that's since the 1640s, that's a clause in all contracts. And so, to your point, sometimes it's not about enforcing a contract. It's about, having a means by which you can abrogate a contract legally. Okay. What we are doing with Iran is not striking their economic capacities, but their leadership capacities.
Well, and not their for whatever rises up in its place, hopefully.
Well, and you look at the statements. Yeah, so there's sometimes, you're a parent, right? I'm a parent. There are sometimes that I have to deceive my child.
Sure.
Because they're not listening, because they're not hearing me, or because there's something else going on and they're going to go get themselves into a place of trouble and danger, and I can't explain it to them right now.
Sure.
Right? And there's other times that it's important that I make sure I speak the absolute truth.
Sure.
Right? That I do not deceive, that I'm not deceptive, that I speak the absolute truth, because that's exactly what my child needs to hear. And deception will be a harm. So when we're listening to Trump and anybody like him and anybody who's actually done any kind of high-level business deals is going to know a guy like Trump. It's going to have dealt with, worked with, crossed paths with, right? Okay. There are times that he says something that are deceptive because they need to be. But there are certain times he says things that are absolutely spot on true.
Sure.
Okay. And one of the things he said with respect to Iran is that the Persian peoples, and I prefer to call them the Persian peoples because they're much older than Iran, is that the people themselves will never have a better opportunity to retake their own governance, their own sovereignty.
Yep.
Okay. Also, that we are not the enemies of the Persian peoples, of the Iranian peoples, and we do not consider them to be that. And we are going out of our way to ensure that we are not striking civilians and civilian impacting, in this case, economic, education, healthcare, et cetera, centers that would diminish the people in their ability to be sovereign.
Okay.
See, what people need to understand is that at the heart of English civilization, at its very core, the first precept of English civilization is responsible individual sovereignty.
Sure.
It is the fundamental core. And so we've been losing it for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
We've been occupied ourselves for centuries. We're now throwing that off. And we don't want to enslave, unfortunately, that has been the case with our militaries, et cetera. But our purpose right now is to help, and the Russians are in the same place, the Chinese are in the same place. Our intentions right now amongst the subset of the princes, the ultra high net worth individuals, the real power people, which often has nothing to do with money, but connections and relationships and generations upon generations of commitments and obligations, et cetera. The responsibles, as I write about in my book, The Eternal War, are moving all over the world where they can to try and restore sovereignty to people.
Okay. I actually was just lecturing on this a couple days ago.
Okay.
I completely agree with you, by the way.
Okay.
I also believe that this plays into what they're hoping for with Russia as well. Is that
Yes.
Russia is hoping the end result of this will be Russian sovereignty outside of European meddling.
Correct. And US, unfortunately, because we've been the ringleader for the last 60, 80 years.
Yeah, but let me just say that I believe the agenda is to separate from Europe. So I'm keeping us out of it for now, just because that's
it's
our leadership
happening.
now.
That's what's happening. No, it's so brilliant. No, Halsey, that's exactly the point, right? The point is that, and I'm gonna put it in a language that a lot of people can understand better. We already filed the divorce papers with this bitch.
Yep.
We've already negotiated out the settlement. We are now getting to the signatories of the final divorce decree. And the bitch doesn't like what she's left with. And she's causing all kinds of heartaches and all kinds of conflicts in the ways that she can to try and harm us and the businesses and the family, such that we will give her a better final settlement where we will support her in her retirement in the lifestyle that she's grown accustomed to.
Sure.
That's literally what's happening.
I wouldn't disagree with that in the slightest.
And her in this case is Europe and the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth. Okay. We're not willing to do that, and we're willing to toe-to-toe fight with anything, anybody in the family, any, partner, whatever, that they throw at us with conflict and chaos. We'll take you on too. We're not willing to destroy the whole family. We're not willing to burn the whole family or everything to the ground.
Right.
And we're not willing to let you do it either out of vindictive cuntness.
I like that.
Right? So, okay. She is mean, cruel, and I shouldn't just say she, right? Because sometimes it's the male in the divorce that's this way, right? But, the estrogenic are unbelievably ruthless and cruel in these situations.
Sure.
And they're going to do absolutely everything possible to prevent, they know the divorce is going to happen. They know we're way past any rapprochement, right? And so now it's all about the final settlement. And they're going to do absolutely everything they can to try and force us to a favorable settlement that for the next 80 years or longer, we continue to support their lifestyle. And we're saying no. Well, they will do everything in their power, including very credible, including dirty nuke in the United States and civil war in the United States and terrorist attacks, widespread, broad mass casualty attacks in the United States, to try and scare us into a position or threaten us into a position where we will support Europe for the next 80 years.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Right? Okay.
So I like your analogy of the divorce because you know why I like it? Because as I talk about this and as we're talking about sovereignty, right? A core aspect of American sovereignty has always been American exceptionalism, right? And whether it be through fault of ours because of our ingenuity, our level of freedom, our constitution, whatever you want to say, or just our geographic location in that we're isolated from a lot of conflict, all of that, that's always been a part of our sovereignty, is that American exceptionalism is going to rule the day. And for the last 10 years, 20 years probably, the whole global war on terror time, right? that has been threatened by Europe. Is that we're just another nation among all, that we have no ability to do anything exceptional around the world or at home, and that because of that, we need to accept our own mediocrity. And that's the same thing as being in an abusive marriage, right?
Correct.
Where
That's
where
it,
you're
Halsey.
you're
That's
just
exactly it.
you're just supposed to accept the mediocre nature of your life and go on with it because that's the right thing to do for her, not for you, for her.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're done.
No. So it's that saying, Halsey, it's beautiful. So it's that, happy wife, happy life. Well, not if she's an evil, manipulative person who's mutilating fucking our children's genitals
Yep.
for some fucking fucked up social experiment,
Yep.
or just out of pure malevolence. That's not happy wife, happy. No. That person, and again, I don't want to put this just on women because there are men. These are the estrogenics. This isn't just women. Mm-hmm. This is men. And not just heterosexuals, but gays and trans and all these other people, right? And I don't say all gays, and maybe not all trans, but I don't know about that one. But you know what I mean? So this isn't some just blanket woman hating, estrogenic hating, or estrogen hating thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the estrogenics function and think in this way. These are resentfuls. These are envious, resentful people who can only, because of that, have never developed real skill sets that they can deliver something to the world. And so they must live parasitically.
Yep.
Right? And so how do they do that? Well, if it's obvious, we're going to see, well, you're a parasite. No. So it's all this deception and all this psychological warfare, projection and isolation and transference. And that's a doctrinal line in my book, The Eternal War. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. What is happening is the world is divorcing from an unhealthy spouse.
Yep.
And that unhealthy spouse is the Roman system, the second Roman system. And that Roman system is in control of all of most of continental Europe. Let's exclude Eastern Europe and maybe Poland. It's teetering there.
I was about to say Poland's like on a seesaw.
It's teetering.
It goes back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Now Italy's trying to break free. Greece got bankrupted and destroyed, and there's some factions and efforts trying to break free in Greece. But for the most part, the main European continent is Rome. It's the second Rome, right?
Sure.
Okay. And unfortunately, since 1688, increasingly, the English-speaking peoples have also been occupied by this second, this virtualized Rome. And that is this system. That is this parasitic, unhealthy spouse, abusive spouse system. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. And we are divorcing it. Russia already succeeded in doing it. China is just finishing that. And we are in the process. Where is the United States right now? We're where Russia was in 2001, 2002, 2003. Mm-hmm. Maybe where China was in 2014, 2017. We're just starting our, expulsion and divorce decree. Mm-hmm. So we're not, to the place yet where we know exactly where this is going to end. So bringing it back, they had to try, the only way in which to continue the attack on the healthy spouse in the divorce such that they will revisit the final settlement is broad spectrum terrorist attacks in the United States. The only entity that they had set up in the world that was still remaining, that had any capacity that, in the public's eyes, et cetera, that they could use to sell that as the ringleaders is Iran. In order to do that, they had to actually initiate strikes on, actual combat, kinetic strikes on Iran to state, well, this is why Iran initiated their sleeper cells. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what was necessary to, and it has to be legit at this point, because again, Kent and Gabbard and others aren't willing to go along with the lie like the Bushes were, right? Or Bush and Obama, et cetera. So what is the one thing what was the one thing you could do, the unhealthy spouse and their allies, because the families, and these, especially the upper class families, man, when they have an acrimonious divorce, it's unreal that people pick camps and all this, or who are in a inheritance custody battle like I was born into. Give me 1 second. The one thing that could have brought about the strikes that we're doing on Iran now is that they actually had visible material that they were going to use as a dirty nuke in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Credible.
Right.
It's the only thing that would have gotten us into these strikes. Okay.
Which supposedly the Iranians told the negotiators. They said that within a week we could have 11 bombs. So
correct.
No.
Now that's, again, what we have to understand is that Iran is not a monolith, right? So this is faction.
I'm just talking leaders. That's the leadership.
But again,
part of the
even the leaders aren't a monolith. Look at the United States. There are no monolithic structures in the world at all. Not even Saddam Hussein or Muammar Gaddafi were monoliths.
Sure.
Right? There's always factions. Excuse me. Okay. The next piece, right? The next piece in this, right, to force the spouse, the healthy spouse, to renegotiate the settlement is terrorist, broad spectrum terrorist attacks here in the United States, which they've been predictive programming for years. Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, the one guy you would have to have that would go along is the NCTC lead.
Mm-hmm. I'm going along with you on it. I told you from the beginning, I don't know enough about him, and it's not been on my radar enough. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's a great guy, he's a bad guy. Like, I'm literally just looking at what people are writing today.
Yeah. So look at his specific.
I like
Tulsi,
again, I do like Tulsi, but
give me 1 second. So this isn't about Joe Kent. I believe quite literally Joe Kent did exactly what he needed to do. It's called falling on your sword. People need to really read his words carefully. He chose every single word, their pacing, their punctuation, everything in that document was done very carefully, and people need to not get in this emotional space, and they need to realize that there's at least $10 billion is going to be spent today alone on an anti-Joe Kent campaign. Probably. It already started with the bullshit about the leaks and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Anybody who knows Joe Kent at all knows he wouldn't leak a fucking thing to anybody, not even his own fucking family over a beer. Right? So, and he won't be the last. They're going to come after the others in the team as well. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we are at war, people. We are at war, and a whole lot of people who think they know what the fuck they're talking about don't know a goddamn thing. One piece. Second off, a whole lot of people that people listen to are actually working for the bad guys, the ones who want to perpetuate the fucking, the abusive spouse in the marriage, and who want to help her with the settlement because they'll get some fucking piece of it.
Sure.
Right? And then you've always got inside of there, you got your opportunists who are just trying to find some way to gain advantage for themselves, or to just, create additional fuckery because they're malevolent pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. We can swear on your channel, right?
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't have a channel if that weren't the case. But it's funny because honestly, I'm not just paying a compliment for no reason. When I read that one article you had about about Israel being the scapegoat. Right. Yeah. Again, it wasn't what you said. It was the fact that I liked it so much that I went to the mattresses trying to prove you wrong. Because I don't like my own biases. I don't like when I read something and like it and go, okay, that works for me because I like it. I would rather it be true. Right. And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, okay, whenever we have these conversations and I say something like Qatar or something like this, and you go, oh, that's us. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? And I look at what they're saying about Iran. So you have half the country who says Iran was never a threat to us. We shouldn't have done anything in the first place. And then in the same breath, they'll say, and what's going to happen when they activate their sleeper cells all over America? It's like, well, if they have sleeper cells all over America, they've already done something to us. Right? Like, but what I'm saying is it's not necessarily Iran with the sleeper cells. It's the fact that it's a united enemy.
It's the devil's legions. It's why I write about the devil's legions. These folks owe no allegiance to a state.
Sure.
They owe allegiance to offshore wealth portfolios. And they 100%. Only use, if they can get away with it, state mechanisms to augment their power, give them access and placement, to facilitate. But these people and these devil's legions have no, and they might work for some government or whatever, but that's not, they don't give a flying fuck about any of that.
Right.
Right. That whole, all of that is just, resources and tools for them to be used for their fucking bullshit, their slaver regime system. That's the abusive spouse finding loopholes and mechanisms whereby she or he, whatever, the estrogenic spouse can parasitically live off of the healthy host, the healthy spouse, even after the divorce, right? What did Europe do after World War II? Lived off of us.
They still kind of are. I mean, we are divorcing, but they still are. The paper hasn't been signed yet.
Complete. Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And that's why they're going all in, because it hasn't been signed yet, right? So give me 1 second.
I just think they weren't expecting Trump to take their allowance away. They were not
well, and
expecting
he also,
Trump to go after the insurance industry. They were
well,
not
they didn't, well, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But they also didn't expect that he would go, okay, I'm going to go now to a bar fight analogy.
Sure.
Okay. An unhealthy individual, estrogenic, is causing a scene in a fight in a bar.
Yep.
For their own power play, for their own whatever, right? And they're using some fool,
okay,
witting or unwitting, man, usually, a man, to be the one out there being the aggressor. Now they're behind, standing behind him, egging him on. They don't expect, for the most cases, particularly in the world we live in today, they don't expect the guy who's being aggressed against, who's being, threatened, to just stand up and punch that motherfucker in the face.
No, that's a bigger, one of the biggest problems of the modern generation is that no one expects to get punched in the face.
They don't expect it. So what's happened here is that this estrogenic parasitic Praetorian system has been using factions in Iran to suppress the Iranian people themselves, but have been using this as a bully against, us, to keep the Americans paying for everything.
Sure.
And the president, the current president said no, and he stood up and punched the aggressor, the one who's being pushed out there as the aggressor, in the face. Right. Quite literally. We targeted and killed leadership.
Yep. On day one.
On day one. And they put new leadership in, and we killed them.
Yep.
Well, that's what you do in a bar fight when there's some fucking unhealthy bitch egging people on into a fight. You get up and put them down. You don't just stand there and take it like a bitch, because now that insane bitch behind that aggressor is in total power and control, and things can go really bad, and then guns can get pulled and knives can get pulled, and innocent people get harmed.
Sure.
So that's what happened. It's like, okay, they used Iran, the factions within the Iranian leadership so back to the thing I wrote earlier, right? About Israel. And the first thing I just did the first argument I did about the English 400-year Civil War series, which I've got to finalize the final one, was to talk about how Iran is just part of this internal English Civil War, because that's what we're watching around the world. Sure. We've got one faction of English speaking, and thereby continental European as well, elites at war with the other faction. And what is that? That's the resentfuls and responsibles fighting it out. And Iran is a puppet of the unhealthy, and has been for over a century, is a puppet of the unhealthy faction within the English-speaking peoples.
Sure.
And so where are we? The healthy faction just stood up and punched him in the face and said, okay, why? Because the unhealthy faction has committed on October 7th to the October 7th, committed to the eradication of Israel.
Right.
The eradication of Israel as the spark for the global conflict that they need to reset their financial system.
Sure.
So they're fully committed. They're all in on eradicating Israel and the Jews.
I know. I don't think that's arguable.
Right? It's that's the, they've burned all their other, assets that they built up. This is the last great asset they have left to burn in, this divorce decree settlement conflict,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you know, in the English Civil War, really is what people need to look at it, because that's what we are doing. We are finalizing a 400-year running civil war, and it looks like a global war because we are a global empire. A global empire at war with itself would look like World War.
Yep.
But there's one exception. Russia's not involved in it. Now they're fighting their own conflict, but that's amongst themselves. That's Slav on Slav.
Yep.
And it's being funded and supported by us. So that's their own conflict. The Chinese aren't. So the two other great powers aren't involved in what would, and they would have to be involved for this to be a world war,
Mm-hmm.
or to become a world war. So they're not, though. And they're keeping their, you know, their other countries and their spheres of influence mostly out of it. And they're going all out. People really should look at that. It's extraordinary what China and Russia are doing to keep themselves and their people out of this fucking conflict. What they're doing is they are letting the English people finalize their 400-year fucking civil war.
Sure.
Well, what is the resentfuls faction of this English Civil War, which is the financialists, the Praetorians? You know, this is this, you know, financialized society. What are they doing? They are systemically burning through their assets. And what is the last asset they have is the great destabilizing threat to the world is Israel. And they are all in on its eradication, even if that means 15 million Jews die.
So
and I think if I got
threefold.
it right.
I think it's threefold, funny enough. And I don't disagree with anything you've just said, but I think it's threefold. I think that as you're talking about the 400-year Civil War, right?
Yeah.
What does one side want from the other? Subservience, right? They want submission.
Yes.
And
they're
not okay with any group that's not willing to submit to whatever the will may be. And that became that's what links us and Israel, the U.S. and Israel, very, very closely, is that they want subservience from the same people. We got bogged down in two 20-year wars that we should have gotten out of much quicker than we did.
Should never have gone into. Yeah.
So I agree with you. We've discussed this. I agree with you on this.
Yeah.
But the subservience that they want from us is that they want to let us know that everything we believe in is bullshit, right?
Yes.
And someone in the chat just said, and I want to directly answer it because it's important. So the West should be neutral and just let things happen. Don't do anything ever. No, the West should do what the West needs to do to understand that we're not your slave. Okay.
Well, let's pause a moment. What do they mean by the West? When they say the West, they link the fucking English-speaking peoples together with the Europeans, and we have been at war with one another for 2,000 years. And actually, before that, it's just that we didn't have good records about the fight before the Romans showed up in 44 AD. But we've been at war with, you know, the folks that from those islands and off the coast there, and the folks on the continent there, and that set of islands. We've been at war with one another for 2,000 years. The only real enemies that we have is each other.
Sure.
We're carrying on that same freaking fight that started for us in 44 AD when Caesar showed up.
Yep.
Or not Caesar, but when the Roman legions finally got and came to, we've been fighting that same fucking fight ever since.
Mm-hmm.
This has nothing to do with the Russians. Has nothing to do with the Chinese. Really has nothing to do with the fucking Persians. Has nothing to do with any of them. This is an internal fight between the West, as people articulate, and the English civilization. Those are two distinct things. And we are still fighting this out. And now, because the English became we are a maritime people, even the Americans, even though we have a continent-sized fucking country, we are a maritime people. Because of that, our empire spans across the fucking planet. And anytime we have a conflict with anybody, it looks like a fucking world war.
Yep. But I think
right?
I got to run in a minute. So I just want to bring this up because I think it's really important. You said that the war is with ourselves, right? And I was just talking to someone this morning about it. And we were talking about Iran, and then they said something along the lines of like, unless this turns out well and Iran gets done, people will still blame Israel. I said, first of all, Israel doesn't care if people blame Israel. I said, secondly, the war that we're fighting is with ourselves in terms of becoming a sovereign nation again. And this person said to me, they said, yeah, but what about housing? Are they ever going to be able to afford housing? I said, people are not actually concerned about affording housing. They want a reason to buy a house in the first place. They want to know they can get married and have kids and have a stable job. The idea that they can buy a house is just a symbol of that. and the liberal order of London, let's say, has been the whole you'll own nothing and be happy about it, right?
Yeah,
but it's not the case. It makes
Roman.
everybody miserable.
That's Roman,
Okay.
and it goes through the city of London. So I don't disagree with you necessarily. Maybe it's equivalent point, but I'm not a point quibbler. I try not to be. Right? I want to go back to the question. I want to go back to, of course you do. You're Jewish. You guys are point quibblers like fucking mad. And sometimes it's entertaining and fun, right? But I'm English and Scottish, and give me one
I
second.
got best of both worlds. My father is 100% Irish, and my mother's 100% Ashkenazi. So
well, there you go.
Yep.
So what we do need to really accept, though, is that we are in a civil war, and we are in finalizing a 400-year civil war amongst the English-speaking peoples themselves. And what is that civil war over? In the 1600s, we allowed the West, continental Europe, to take over a sizable portion, the crown, and a sizable portion of our nobility, of our top elite peoples. And they've held that position and created this parasitic slavery system that we are all now still dealing with. And we are fighting that out. And one of the key distinctions to make is that the West and English are not, in English civilization, Western civilization, English civilization are not the same. We are mortal enemies. And the Western, the Western system, the Roman system, has been in control of the English-speaking peoples for almost 4 centuries. We are now finalizing that fight.
Yep.
We're now finalizing it, and Iran's just a piece of it that's taking that off the table.
I agree. And I think that Trump has done such an amazing job at this, because it's not just Iran, it's Cuba, it's the cartels,
it's
Venezuela.
Everything. Yes.
He's letting the American people know that their priorities are his priorities, and that's how you win the Civil War.
Correct. No. So I don't disagree with that. Yeah. So I don't disagree with that at all. We are going to have to deal with housing costs. We are going to have to deal with economic. There is the enemy that we are defeating are the ones who bloated asset values in order, financialized and then bloated asset values in order to sustain their war against us. So in defeating the enemy, we will deal with the affordability issue, because once you obviate tens of trillions, actually it's hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt, now assets go back to right pricing.
Yep.
And the parasitism that's pulling the revenues, the actual legitimate productivity out of the system to wage war, to be used then to turn around and wage war against us, that goes away too. And now you have a wealth jump for everybody based off of their productivity is not being stolen away from them. It's now being able to be reinvested in themselves, et cetera. So it is all tied together, a little bit more complicated.
I agree 100%. Em, thank you so much, man. I love these conversations. So I hear we're doing something on Friday too. I hear we're going to be on Tommy together on Friday.
I guess so. Yeah.
Awesome.
I apologize for being a little bit late today.
No, it happens, man. It
just got back home. Yeah.
You just got back in general. You've been gone for like a month.
And then I had to leave again. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back, man. It's really good to have you back. We need you in the fight.
Appreciate
okay, guys. You can find EM's links in my description. You can find Tom Luongo's links in my description. You can find Tommy Kerrigan's links in my description. You can find my own links in the description. Please share and like the video. Let's get it out there. 10 o'clock Friday morning Eastern time, we're going to be on with Tommy Kerrigan talking about some of this stuff again. And we're going to be talking, me and Tom Luongo are talking on Monday about some of the financial aspects of it. I hope everybody's having a great time and a great day. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day, and we will talk very, very soon. Take care, man.
Cheers.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border.
In all honesty, a border wall or steel slats won't work. But great bodies of water will separate us from the horrible Mexican rapists. Introducing the 2019 Trump Great Border Moat. Stocked with the most aggressive penis fish, incredible man-eating alligators, and unbelievable genetically modified moose-cocked rape dolphins, as well as flying migrant-eating sharkfish. so incredible.
I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always